What's up, everyone? Welcome on in. Joey's on mute per usual because he doesn't know how to do intros by now for some godforsaken reason, as if we don't do this show every week. Welcome on back to another edition of Golf on Tap. Jack Bushman here. You can find me on Twitter at JackBushman2 with my partner, Joey Knows Nothing, aka the grill burnt our food because we got absolutely toast this week. We were not on Emiliano Grillo at the Charles Schwab Challenge, an 8-year layover from Grillo between his last PGA Tour win, gets the job done, and what a tough week to not be on Emiliano Grillo, Joey.
Yeah, man, you said it. That's my name here. The grill burnt our food. Somebody left the steak on just a little bit too long. Blackened cod. I'm happy for him. Like, I genuinely am happy for him, but it feels like a guy that we've been on for a very long time. And it just so happens that this week we are not on him, or this past week we were not on him, and he wins the tournament. And another guy, like you were saying off air, Adam Schenk, who we've been on quite a bit, another one of our boys who I've actually been infuriated by in the past as well, because his name is Shank, and for some godforsaken reason, I've been betting on him a lot. He almost won. So it was just like they ripped our heart out, put it on the grill, decided to blacken it, and they just, I don't know. It is what it is. The golf gods were not on our side this past week, and that's going to happen. But at least it's like somebody who we wanted to genuinely win here coming up, and we thought that was going to win. So I'm not as mad or like pissed off as I was this weekend when we were texting back and forth, because texting back and forth during the tournament usually means one of two things. It's either we are super fucking pissed or we are very extremely like excited and happy about what's happening, or we're just really nervous. And in this case, I think it was more the pissed off version. But now I can confidently say I've calmed down a little bit, Jack, and ready for this week, the Memorial Tournament.
Yeah, I'm happy for Grillo. Sad that I wasn't on that ticket. I know a lot of Grillo backers were in on that and got it at 100-1. Not without a sweat, though. I mean, Grillo tried his best to piss that away with the whole shenanigans that went on in the 18th hole. He hits it in the creek. It's like a 10-minute wait for him to decide what he's doing. I didn't understand that rule whatsoever. And then they told him at the end, when the ball had stopped, that he had taken too much time in order to go play the ball. But I'm like, how had he taken too much time if the ball never came to rest? Like, how can you put him on the clock if the ball had never stopped? I don't know. Very weird situation. Grillo ends up making double bogey. Adam Schenk actually had a putt on 18 to win, and he missed it by like literally 2 rolls. And it's been a couple close calls now for our boy Adam Schenk, not only losing out on this playoff, but probably should have won the Valspar Championship as well, but hit it behind a tree on the 72nd hole, ended up making bogey. And yeah, it's been tough for old Adam Schenk, but he continues to knock on the door. You referenced Grillo was knocking on the door before picking up this victory. He had been playing some really solid golf for kind of the greater part of the season. In the fall, we were on him a lot. He was one of the best golfers in the fall. The layover might have affected, or the layoff, I should say, might have affected him a little bit, the Christmas pause, and didn't get off to the best start to 2023, but really found his groove in these last couple of weeks. It had some solid finishes, been really good with the ball striking like he normally is, and had been making his putts. And that's what he did last week at the Charles Schwab. What a shot, by the way, on that par 3 hole to seal the deal and get that victory. So yeah, it was a little frustrating that, we've been on Grillo several times throughout the course of the season. Don't hit him at the 100-1 number, but on to the next one. I've had harsher beats numerous times this season, so I'm not going to shed a tear over that one, but happy to see Grillo get the win. And that's kind of been a theme of this season, Joey, has been guys kind of resurging to find their game. Even Jon Rahm to an extent, because remember how quiet Jon Rahm was last year? Now he's obviously reminded everyone why he's one of the best, if not the best golfers in the world. Justin Rose snapped his win drought at Pebble Beach. Chris Kirk, who you were on, snapped his win drought at the Honda Classic. And now Grillo. So It feels like the whole golf world is just kind of waiting on Ricky Fowler and Adam Scott at this point, Joey. Those are kind of the two last big ends to get over that hurdle and get back in the winner's circle.
I love that you referenced Ricky Fowler this week, and we're going to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
It's streak snapping season. I love the way that you're kind of building that up. It really feels that way, though. There's these guys that have been in these long droughts and kind of starting to pull through here, or guys that have shown us something over a pretty extended period of time that are starting to put it together for an entire tournament, or at least 3 out of the 4 rounds and good enough to win the tournament.
I didn't even mention your boy Jason Day either. My bad, dog. But like, it's been happening a lot this year.
It really, really has been happening a lot. And then on the flip side of that, you've seen guys who have kind of tailed off for the most part, who we expected to be more so up towards the top, like your Billy Horschels and things like that. So tale of two worlds, I guess, in the golf world right now. But it's kind of cool to see these guys come back around. The guys that were playing so well for so long start to figure it back out again. And that just goes to show you how difficult this game really is you can go through those long extended periods. Brooks Koepka, another one, right? How awful was he for a stretch of time? And he's been one of the best golfers in his career, but now we've seen him snap out of it. And we've already talked about that on a previous show, but it's super cool to watch. Little side note here. I feel like I'm you're like the golf professional on the show. I'm just like a guy that bets on golf and sometimes is right. But like, I actually feel like I'm a better golfer after this past weekend. We went to my sister's house for Memorial Day, which we're going to be talking about the Memorial Tournament here, but I was doing some pitching and some chipping in the backyard. My brother-in-law was giving me some pointers with some clubs he has. So I was feeling pretty good. I was like, you know what? I'm starting to come around here. I'm feeling better than Colin Morikawa right now with the with the chip and the pitching. So, but obviously not good enough to play on tour. So as much as we like to critique these guys and point out their every flaw and their highs and their lows, we will never be quite there, obviously. So just what they do is pretty remarkable and just a testament to the hard work that they put in to be so damn good at this game. But yeah, Jack, with that said, man, I want to look forward to this week. Hopefully cook up another winner, not burn the winner, but just cook it up enough, not well done. Just give it that nice little easy touch. Little pink still showing, little red. That's how I like it when it comes off the grill. But we are going to be talking about the Memorial Day, or not Memorial Day, but the Memorial Tournament presented by Workday, a designated event located at Muirfield Village Golf Club in Central Ohio. Of course, this is hosted by Jack Nicklaus, one of the longest running PGA Tour events at the same venue, debuted here in 1976. Everyone who gets the chance to play the course obviously looks forward to and hopes that they get a chance to, at the end of the 18th, final round of the 18th hole, shake Jack Nicklaus's hand, which we've seen some very high-profile golfers, very good golfers, do this. Tiger Woods being one of them. Cantlay has done it a couple times here. Guys in the field, John Rahm has done it. Billy Horschel just last year, after I just talked about him not really golfing that well this season. He was a 13 under to win it last year. But Jack, talk to me here about this Jack Nicklaus / Desmond Muirhead design that they are going to be playing at this week. What are your initial thoughts on this tournament?
I absolutely love this tournament. I absolutely love this course. And for those of you out there who've been following along with the show for quite some time, you know that I personally always enjoy the challenging golf courses and the ones that are going to test all parts of your game. And that's what you get at Muirfield Village, especially after Jack Nicklaus's redesign in 2020. It was actually kind of cool. I remember when John Rahm was on his way to winning that tournament in 2020, they were actually digging up the course like during the middle of the Sunday round. Like after the last pairing had gone off and they were on like 8, they started like digging up like the first and second holes and stuff. They were literally getting into the work while the tournament was still going on.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene, but Jack absolutely beefed this place up. And it seems like I figure he could not have been very happy that Patrick Cantlay in 2019 won this thing at 19 under par. He was like, this is no birdie fest. And it seemed like he was kind of realizing that guys were figuring out ways to overpower this golf course a little bit. So he went back to the drawing board and made plenty changes around this place. He added 150 yards of distance. He, in particular, too, really bulked up on those par fives and added different tee boxes to make those holes a little bit more difficult because those had started to get eaten apart a little bit by the PGA Tour's finest. So in addition to the 100 yards, he also moved around a lot of fairway bunkers and greenside bunkers, put them in even more strategic situations and put them in spots where they're more likely to be hit. And they were also already some of the toughest bunkers to get up and down out of on the PGA Tour. He didn't make them any easier. He made the fairways a little bit tighter as well, shrunk some of the greens and added some undulation to these bent grass green surfaces. They're small. They're going to be tricky. The rough is going to play penal. It's going to be a challenging test for these PGA Tour players, and it's really going to require a very strong tee to green week, like we see a lot at major championships. I think it's going to be very, very important to be playing out of the fairway. This is some of the most penal rough on the entire PGA Tour schedule, in the same boat as majors. It's 4-inch long rough. Absolutely impossible to control your golf ball out of it. So if you're playing out of the rough frequently and you're wayward off the tee, you're already putting yourself behind the 8 ball and setting yourself up to make a lot of bogeys. And while, you know, you want to play a clean game with the irons as well, with the greens being so small, there are going to be times where you're just simply going to miss them, and you're going to have a good short game and be able to get up and down. I think around the green is going to be really important this week. Same with scrambling. And the interesting thing about the putting surfaces here, kind of since Jack's latest redesign, there have been some interesting splits on these surfaces here. I believe last year, 89% of the putts within 10 feet went in. So I've heard that they roll so firm that sometimes they kind of help out poor putters be a little bit better. So we've kind of seen guys who may not necessarily be known for what they do on the greens perform better in that department at this course because the greens are so firm. But all in all, it's going to play as one of the most difficult non-major tournaments on the schedule. I absolutely love to watch these, and I'm excited to see the players, you know, get frustrated and get challenged and find themselves in tricky spots where they're going to have to make a remarkable save throughout their round in order to kind of keep the momentum going. So, yeah, it's going to be a beast of a course. I really do like Murfield Village. I love the setup of this tournament, and obviously the PGA Tour's finest know what this event means. And they, even before this was a designated event, the fields were absolutely stacked here because it's just a different type of tournament. It's got, as you mentioned, an incredible group of past champions. Not only in recent years, we've seen guys like Bryson and Cantlay win twice and John Rahm, but Tiger Woods has won here 5 times, Ernie Els, Vijay Singh, Paul Azinger. There's numerous golf legends that have won at this course. So it means a lot to the players, it means a lot to Jack, and it's an awesome event that I can't wait to get started tomorrow.
I'm with you, man. I don't really love what you said about it helping out bad putters, because you're kind of leading me back into Scotty Scheffler, wanting to bet him at like plus 600 or whatever the hell his odds are, which we'll get to. But good Lord, man. Like, the only thing that guy can't do right now, if there is a flaw in his game, is putt. And he can still, like, somehow, you know, finish 3 under every single round. Like, it's actually fucked up. But I'm with you, what you're saying about this tournament and with the course. I mean, I'm very excited to get this thing going. And tee to green, total tee to green, I think was something that I just really kind of gathered throughout all that, and just being all around a good golfer. I mean, I think since the renovations, it really is, you know, as you said, it's become more of an off the tee type of course, but you got to have everything. Like, it's total driving. It's not just like, you know, you're not just going to bomb it out there and think you can be inaccurate and get it done that way. But it was probably more of like an irons and short game contest before, but you're still going to need all of it. So, yeah, I love that. And it's kind of interesting that Cantlay was able to win again, in 2021, the 2021 season after, the birdie fest that was in the 19 under season that he won. So I don't know what to make of like course history here. I guess I was looking at that. We always look at that, but that was one of the things that I thought was a little bit difficult because of the changes to this course. Looking at some of the guys here in the field that had a good course history in the past, seems like maybe the last 3 years, some of them didn't have the best course history. So Cantlay is obviously not in that same category, but there are some there. But yeah, I mean, I guess, Jack, we can kind of just go ahead and get into it. We start at the top of the board. It's Scotty Scheffler, obviously, who is the favorite for this tournament. As I'm pulling up the odds here, he is plus 6.5 to 1. John Rahm, plus 750. You got Cantlay, who's 10 to 1. Xander Schauffele, 12 to 1. And then 14 to 1 is Rory, who, wow, you can find him at at the fifth best odds. I mean, I'm not used to really seeing this. We've kind of seen him in this range. We saw him, I think it was, what was it, 19 to 1 we were able to grab him at pretty recently. I think it was the major. So I don't know, Jack, what are your thoughts here about the top of the board? We know how good the first two names are on the list. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you can make a case for all of these guys basically this week, particularly the first three. You referenced how good Scotty Scheffler has been tee to green for basically the past two and a half months now. I mean, he's putting up legitimately astronomical and earth-breaking tee to green numbers, like Tiger Woods-esque numbers, but in much, not a knock on Tiger, just much deeper fields and against much better players. Scotty Scheffler is putting up seriously ridiculous tee to green numbers. And as you just brought up, coming to a place where some poor putters have fared a little bit better on these surfaces. So, I mean, it's hard to knock Scotty. I don't think he has a finish worse than 11th in like 2.5 months. I mean, he's just been remarkably
looking ridiculous.
Even putt, he loses 3-4 strokes putting and he finishes inside the top 5. That's how much his tee to green game can carry him. And on a course like this, one thing I kind of forgot to reference in my breakdown when looking at the past two winners since Jack's redesign, both Billy Horschel and Patrick Cantlay were first in the field in greens and regulation and first in the field in strokes gained tee to green. So two very important things this week, and Scotty Scheffler does those things as well as anyone. And if he made a couple more 5-footers last week, he would have won the Charles Schwab, would have picked up his third win of the season. Honestly, with the tee to green numbers that he's had, it's kind of crazy that he's only got 2 wins. I mean, when I put it like that, 2 wins certainly isn't a bad season, but with those type of numbers, you would think Scotty Scheffler would have more. So there's a case to be made for Scheffler. There's an obvious case to be made for Rahm as well. Would have gone back-to-back in 2021 had he not been forced to withdraw due to testing positive to COVID-19 literally after the completion of his third round. He was up 6 shots on the field, was easily going to cruise to a back-to-back victory. If you know Jon Rahm, had a T10 last year as well, so he's been remarkably consistent here. Just an absolute beast of a driver with the golf ball. And then Patrick Cantlay was the one who kind of took advantage of Jon Rahm having to withdraw and picking up that victory in a playoff over Colin Morikawa. I know he's going to be extremely popular this week because of his course history on this track, and also because of how good his ball striking numbers have been so far this season. I don't know if there's been a player better this year that hasn't won yet than Patrick Cantlay. So I think all 3 of those guys are very intriguing options. Xander has some good results here, but never has finished inside the top 10, interestingly enough. Rory's got a pair of T18s in the last 2 years since the redesign. I honestly don't really know why Xander has lower odds than Rory. That's a little confusing to me, but I'm going with an interesting strategy this week, Joey. I'm not going to play any of these guys. I don't really know how I'm going to feel about it because I think a lot of people are playing these guys this week. But I'm not going to bet on anyone under 20-1 this week, believe it or not.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Coming from you, there's at least one.
If there was one for me, I just buck up and pay for Scotty Scheffler.
That's fair. Totally fair. I have not bet anyone at the top either, which is not unheard of for me. But if I am going to pay for someone, it's going to be, I mean, you cannot argue against Scheffler or Rahm.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I won't tell you not to bet him. I just can't. If I am going to bet someone at the top, though, I'm going to start at that 10-1 number for Patrick Cantlay. It just seems like the no-brainer option outside of those two, and there's a reason why he's the third best favorite here. Great track record. Obviously, you've talked about that. T3 last year. He's gained strokes now off the tee in 15 straight events dating back to the BMW Championship.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty fucking good for a guy who hasn't had a win this season.
And a guy who actually putts well, too.
I think it's probably his time. I think I might get there. I have not done it yet, but I really like Patrick Cantlay here. And obviously it's not like a bold prediction when given his record here, but why fight against something that's working? So I like Cantlay there. I'm going to stay away from Schauffele, excuse me. X going to give it to you, and I'm going to stay away from Rory in that range. Victor Hovland, 20-1. Colin Morikawa is 25-1. Tyrrell Hatton is 25-1. My boy Jason Day, 28-1. And then you have JT Justin Thomas at 30-1. And there might be some better prices out there. Jack, you might have found some, I'm sure. But what are we seeing here from 20 to 30-1, this range here?
Yeah, obviously with me passing on the top, this is when things kind of start to get cooking for me. I do think Victor Hovland is an intriguing option at 20-1, pretty fair number considering he kind of had a chance last week again at the Charles Schwab Challenge because everyone played poorly on Sunday except for Scotty. I kind of thought, like, with the top of the board falling apart, like Victor, if he makes a charge on the back nine, he could steal this thing, and he kind of fell apart as well. I know he made double on a par 3 and hit it into the drink, and man, it's Victor's right when I thought that Victor was making steps in the right direction, and I was so impressed with his performance on Sunday against Brooks Koepka. He goes and shits the fucking bed on Sunday again, and I've seen Victor Hovland do this so many times. And one interesting thing that I saw on Twitter as well, I'm actually going to try to pull it up right now if I can. Not only does Victor Hovland not have very good results so far in his career at Jack's Place, but he also hasn't done very well in the scrambling department as well. I found this stat from Ron Close, PGA Splits 101 on Twitter, who I seriously recommend following. A lot of great data from this account. Victor Hovland has had a 30% success rate in his career from 30% success rate of scrambling from the short grass in the sand, 31% from the short grass, 36% from the sand, 57% from the rough. That's his scrambling rates at Murfield Village. And he's had to scramble a pretty decent amount. I mean, guys, you're going to have to do that on this course. And while Victor's around the green game absolutely has looked better lately and looked really good at Oak Hill Country Club, I just don't know if I can trust it to hold up on a course like this where I know he's a better chipper now than he was in prior years, but I just feel like this isn't a very good place for him. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'm going to end up passing on Victor Hovland. Where things get interesting for me is Colin Morikawa and Tyrrell Hatton. And I'm always wrong about Morikawa. I was literally just thinking this to myself this afternoon, Joey. I don't think I've ever had a Morikawa sweat. Like, I don't think I've ever had a Morikawa ticket where it was like, he's in contention. Let's see what he does on Sunday. It's always, I don't have money on him, and then he fucks me on Sunday. That's usually how it goes. I haven't made that bet yet, but he's still just been so good tee to green and impressively has been rolling the putts a little bit better, coming to a place where he's gained a lot of strokes here before, where he had that second place finish and lost in a playoff to Cantlay. He gained almost 1.5 strokes on the green, and around the green has been a little bit better too. I know the final results haven't been good. I don't even know if he has a top 10 in like the last month and a half or 2 months, but this feels like a good Colin Morikawa course where you focus on accuracy and good iron play and don't really need to be a bomber. But the first bet that I officially locked in was Tyrrell Hatton at 30-1. And I'm not a big Hatton guy.
No.
I don't love his on-course antics. I don't love how emotional he is with the game, because one thing happens, then he loses his marbles, and it feels like a downhill spiral. But he has just been unbelievable so far this season, particularly in designated events. High-end finishes at the Players' Championship, the RBC Heritage. I mean, all these designated events, he's been right there, and he's been doing it. Maybe I think is what's most impressive is gaining across the board, regularly gaining off the tee, a very accurate driver with the ball, one of the best ball strikers in the field right now. He's also riding a very hot putter, a good around the green scrambler, a guy who is known to play a little bit better when conditions are difficult. So I'm not a big Hatton backer. I don't really back the Mad Hatter, but I snagged him at 30-1, and that was where I guess I've started my card. The decision here for me is I'm probably going to bet one of Morikawa and JT. I just haven't decided which one yet, and they're basically the same people. I mean, it's like the Spider-Man gif, except I can trust Justin Thomas's short game a little bit more, but at the same time, Colin Morikawa is far more accurate off the tee. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about this range. What do you got in this 25 to 30 pocket?
Is it weird that I'm starting to kind of have more of an appreciation for Tyrrell Hatton's bullshit antics?
It's always been funny until you have money on him, and then he's just blowing it at the end because he's a lunatic.
Yeah, but like that's even better for me, because now I'm thinking if I'm betting on this guy, I want that emotion that I'm having on my couch.
He'll have that ride along with you. Like you and Tyrrell Hatton are feeling the same thing, and he'll let the people know.
Like I kind of like that. If my golfer's playing like shit, the guy that I have an outright ticket on, if he's golfing like just absolutely shitting down his leg, as I say every week about somebody, if he's shitting down his leg, I want him to show the emotion, me jumping off my couch, like pissed off, about to throw my remote at the TV. I want that Tyrrell Hatton to come out on the course. And I know I'm not a big fan of him either. I'm really not. But like now I'm kind of getting an appreciation for him. And I'll tell you right now, I do have a ticket on Tyrrell Hatton as well. 4 straight top 20s, including the T15 at the PGA Championship. And like you were saying with the stats across the board, man, he's just looking at this. It's very, very good.
One of the
all across the board.
One of the best complete stat profiles in the game right now, for sure.
No doubt about it. And that's why, and I think that's why he's going a little bit underappreciated here with that number. Yeah, no real win to show for it, but like, who's to say he can't get this win here? Like, I'm not going to put it past him. So yeah, I think if it's a pricing thing and you want somebody who's very good across the board and very consistent right now, I think Hatton makes a ton of sense. So it's kind of cool to see us both getting there this week.
One I wanted to bring up real quick. I wanted to bring this up with Hatton, but I forgot. Out of his 11 PGA Tour starts this year, he's gained off the tee in 10 of them, with his putter in 9 of them, around the green in 7 of them, and on approach in 8 of them. It's been remarkable.
Nuts. That's pretty nuts.
Whole lot of green on his day to golf.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And I mean, we talked about how hard greens and reg are going to be to hit this week. So yeah, I mean, I'm in on Hatton for sure. The other guy too that you talked about was Victor Hovland. Oh, I'm so much struggling with this because I really want to bet Hovland. I'm not going to get to JT or Morikawa this week. So now I don't know if it's surprisingly, but like I understand why you're doing it, especially with Morikawa. Hovland, 4th in total driving this season. After a runner-up at the PGA Championship, we talked about, T16 last weekend, 27th in driving accuracy this season. a stat to me, like looking at it, it's a stat that plagued him on this course. So maybe it's a different story here this year. So if he's 27th in driving accuracy, just looking at it, he's kind of gained in that category on the field over the recent weeks. So maybe that helps him out a little bit here. So I'm kind of liking Hovland. Can he do it on Sunday? No idea, man. No idea. Like I don't even think he can. But just the fact that I think it's a better fit than I think this course is a better fit than maybe it really looks like.
Than last week for sure.
Yeah, than last week, definitely. And like if we're considering betting him in majors, I mean this is an elevated event. I mean, he needs a win, dude. He just needs a win somewhere. Like
this was also a thought I was having. Who's gonna win first? Is it gonna be Victor Hovland / Cameron Young, or is it gonna be Ricky Fowler / who's the other one I'm forgetting? That's on a win drought.
Scott?
Yes, Adam Scott. Who's going to win first? Is it going to be one of Ricky and Adam Scott, or is it going to be Victor or Cameron Young?
I'm going to say Ricky. We're not quite there yet. I'll tease it for another like 2 minutes. Let's get there though. So 35-1, Hideki Matsuyama. 35-1, Jordan Spieth. 40-1, Cameron Young. 40-1 is Matthew Fitzpatrick, and 40-1 is, well, Sungjae Im, but also Ricky Fowler. Now, I'll give you my thoughts. I like Fowler this week. I mean, you've been on him a little bit here recent weeks. Incredible golf being played by Ricky right now. Like 6th place finish at Colonial, T20 or better in 9 of his last 11 events or 11 starts. Has a couple of runner-ups at this course in his career. I like Ricky this week. Like that's my half a unit play, I think, is betting Ricky Fowler at 40-1. I think it's a really good number. And frankly, I think he's due. Like I'm not gonna doubt him right now at this point. I think he's playing really well. What do you think, Jack, about Ricky or anybody else in this range here that was mentioned?
I mean, you said it. Ricky has been putting up incredible numbers all across the board too. He's been riding a good putter. The around the green has been consistent. The ball striking has been good. He's been accurate off the tee, hitting the ball a long way. And he's just been a top 20 machine ever really since the start of the season. And it kind of feels very similar of a profile to Jason Day before he picked up that first victory as well. Maybe not necessarily contending for the win, but a lot of good high-end finishes, a lot of good signs that the game is headed in the right direction. Quite honestly, out of anyone in this range, out of this 35 and 40 pocket right here, I probably like Ricky the most. I haven't bet on anyone this week. I should probably stop thinking about the number so much, because this is like a number that I wish Ricky was at in a bad event. You know what I mean? Like I wish Ricky was playing the Byron Nelson and was 40-1 and I'd hit him
Totally
there.
Get it.
Not against the best players in the world, but
think about it though, Jack. Think about it. What events does he actually care about? It's the elevated events, not the scrub events. And if he was playing in the form that he's playing in now on those scrub events or in some of the even bigger events than this, would we hesitate to bet him at like a 66, 80-1 number? Like, I don't think I would. Like playing at this level and being 40-1, I call me crazy. I don't think it's crazy.
No, you're probably right. It's one of those tough things where it might not be a number for how likely he actually is to win. It might be a number for how likely he is to contend, right? Because Ricky's won once in 5 years, 40-1, like statistically, no, he doesn't win one out of every 4.
Right.
He doesn't. But I do really like Ricky this week. But honestly, no one in this range really stands out that much to me. Hideki, I thought was a little bit interesting. I honestly might get on him as a first-round leader. He's been the first-round leader here twice in his career, picked up his first PGA Tour win here. And then, of course, I don't know if you remember this from last year, but he was actually disqualified from this tournament last year for putting whiteout on his driver. He had whiteout on the driver and boot from round one, which I thought
I
was
forgot that was here though. Yeah.
that was here last year. That's when, do you remember he hit it on the bridge? It like rolled on the bridge and he had to walk and go and hit it. I've seen some love for Hideki this week. I probably won't get there. I've heard a lot of people too talking about Spieth and saying like his injury might not be as bad as some are perceiving it to be. I don't think the injury is a big deal, but I do think his chipping and putting being dog shit is a big deal. So I'm not going to get there. Cameron Young almost feels like an untouchable at this point. I don't really know what to do with Matthew Fitzpatrick or Sung J M. So I'm probably going to leave this range alone. Maybe I wind up getting there on Ricky. I do have some space left on my card, but not a lot of action for me from this range.
Yeah, I totally get it. Fitzpatrick kind of piqued my interest just a little bit, but ultimately I landed on no, can't make that decision. So, but I could see him having a good event, maybe a top 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Sam Burns 45-1, Corey Connors is 50-1, Russell Henley, the model loves him. 50-1. Adam Scott, will he get a victory anytime soon? Maybe 55-1. Sahith Theegala 55-1, getting some DFS love this week, it seems. And above expectation, I was looking at it on Data Golf, kind of makes sense, but he hasn't played here that much though for it to really be a thing for me, anyways. Siwoo Kim 55-1, and then Shane Lowry is 60-1. Who Lowry kind of stands out in that 60-1 range. What are your thoughts here? Are we on your boy Corey Connors, or is Adam Scott getting the W here?
We're fucking on Corey Connors.
Oh,
we're back, baby. All aboard the train. Corey Connors is playing awesome golf right now, Joey. And he's kind of showing the world how good his ball striking is. I know he had a disappointing Sunday at the PGA Championship where he was right there in contention to start that final round because he just played such a clean game from tee to green, and that's what this guy does. If you watch Corey Connors, I know he's not on TV all that much because he's not a big name, but, and I'm going to knock on wood with this, he seriously hits the ball straighter than basically anyone on the PGA Tour. It's a frozen rope right down the middle. He's an elite ball striker, but more so than that, Joey, the reason why I'm high on Corey Connors this week is because what he's been doing with the short game here as of late as well. He's now gained with the putter in 3 consecutive events. He's been rolling the rock really good on these bent grass greens. He's also gained around the greens in back-to-back events. So Corey Connors is quietly starting to put this full package together. We obviously saw him win at the Valero not that long ago. He had a disappointing miscut at the Masters, but since then has really bounced back well. T31 at the RBC Heritage, T8 at the Wells Fargo, T12, but could have been a lot better than that at the PGA Championship. And he's done pretty well at this course in the past as well, Joey. The results maybe haven't been as high end as some folks would like. His highest was a T12 last year, but the way that he's gotten around here has been impressive as well. He's also gained on the greens in 3 of his 4 starts. Funny enough, the only time he didn't gain on the greens was last year when he had his best finish. Always gains off the tee. I think this is a course that really suits Corey Connors' game very well. So I'm all aboard. I locked in Connors at 45-1. I wanted to get to Adam Scott, and I kind of played myself because on Monday, he opened at 80, and I knew it wasn't going to stand. I knew it wasn't going to stand. It was a bad number, and I didn't bet it. Now it's down to 55, and I just don't think I can get there. Scott does have some high-end finishes, and he's been flashing his upside lately, but he's still a little bit more inconsistent than I'd like him to be and not particularly accurate with the driver. Don't get me wrong. When he's hot, he can get it going, but ultimately, I'm going to pass on Scott at 55-1. The other guy I bet here was Shane Lowry, 60-1. Absolutely locked it in. And I know Lowry's season has been very frustrating, but it's literally been because of the putter. He's had some inconsistencies with his short game, but the tee to green has been awesome. Fairway finder, hits a ton of fairways, has been one of the best players in the field in ball striking. He's a trustworthy scrambler, very similar to Tyrrell Hatton, does his best work on tougher courses and in difficult conditions. Has a T6 here, I believe. Yeah, in 2021, finished T6. And he actually, despite being a pretty poor putter, he's putted pretty well on this course as well. I also mentioned earlier, obviously, this course kind of aids some of those weaker putters. So 60-1 Shane Lowry. I know it's been an inconsistent up and down roller coaster ride season. I just couldn't pass on that number.
What was that range that you were mentioning earlier in the show about? Was it 5 to 10 feet for putters?
Yes. Inside of 10 feet last year, I believe the make percentage was 89%, which is unheard of.
You know who's second?
You go out to the greens. Anyone listening to this, go try and make 9 out of 10 footers. You'll be there for weeks.
Oh, dude. And you know who's second in approach putt performance this season? Shane Lowry.
Sugar Shane.
Shane Lowry. So I mean, I'm kind of with you on Lowry, man. Like I'm looking at that number and I'm like, all the talent in the world to be down there. That's, I mean, yeah, we take sometimes price a little bit too much into consideration, maybe, but like in this case, I don't really think that that's, you mentioned the past performances here too, or finish. What was it, T6? You said.
He's had a couple other good ones, I believe. Yeah, T15 in 2017, T32 last year, not terrible, but pretty good underlying numbers around this course too, especially for his known weaknesses.
I mean, I think we could be in for a pop-up week.
Yeah.
Pop-up Lowry week. I really do. Corey Connors, that was another one. I know it's your boy, and I don't want to take your pick from you and be like, yeah, I'm on him too. And I have not bet him yet, but that was one of them that I'm like, And
it seems like the number's only growing, which is kind of interesting to me.
Just people are not on him this week, huh?
I'm at like 40. Now he's getting up to 50 on PointsBet.
I think there's just too much hype around some of the other guys this week, it seems. Like
I mean, the big dogs have killed it here. 3 of the last 4 winners have been guys in the top 4 in the world golf ranking.
But how long is it before Corey Connors might enter that discussion with this? Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's anytime soon, but like we could see him towards the top of major event, odds makers could put him up there.
He's always been a good major player. He has a really good track record at the Masters, a pretty decent track record at the US Open. Like these harder courses where you really need to rely on that accuracy off the tee and the ability to consistently hit greens, especially the smaller ones. Corey Connors can do that. It's where you got to make those birdie putts is where the events where he kind of falls behind a little bit. But when scoring isn't at a premium, that's when you want Corey Connors. So I like this number. I think it's a fair number for him and for Lowry.
He's 11th in greens and reg percentage this season.
He's great. So you don't gotta tell me.
Yeah, you already know. You know his entire stat list, I'm sure. You
don't gotta tell me.
That's your boy. So yeah, no, man, I'm with you on Corey Connors this week. I might have to pull the button, or push the button. I don't think you can pull a button on your phone, but you might be able to do that somewhere, playing slots or something. But yeah, I think most of the time you push the button on those too now. But yeah, traditional slots, right? Let's get the lever going. Tom Kim, he's 66-1. Wyndham Clark is 66-1. Keegan Bradley, your other boy, 80-1. Matt Kuchar, very good track record here as a win, 90-1. Gary Woodland. We'll stop there before we go to complete bombs. But I don't know, Tom Kim. Before I get your thoughts, accuracy. He's 8th in greens and reg this season. Might be a spot here for Kim, and I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for a win here. And I don't know if I'm going to bet him either. I probably won't, but just worth a note there because I'm kind of eyeballing Kim for maybe some placement bets. What do you think about this range, Jack?
Yeah, Tom Kim's approach has been pretty good. Off the tee's been good. He's still hitting a lot of fairways. It's just really the putter that's just been absolutely killing him. I probably would have just liked to see a more high-end finish in recent events. He really hasn't been relevant since the American Express back in like February. His best finish since then came T7 at the Zurich Classic in the team event, but T16 at the Masters. He doesn't really have any like finishes in contention. And I'm a big Tom Kim guy. I just like to see a little more flash from him personally. I'm probably out on everyone in this range, and there's only a couple names left that intrigue me, to be honest.
Well, let's get to those. We won't even go down the rest of the list here as far as like, okay, we can shout out a couple names and maybe see if I land on something you like. But there's Cam Davis 125-1, Chris Kirk 125-1, Harris English is the same, Denny Mack the same, Emiliano Grillo just coming off a victory 150-1, Keith Mitchell and Kurt Kitayama, KH Lee all in that same tier 150-1. Who are your bomber picks? I think I have two. I have one for sure. Might have the other. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, so I only have one bet in this range, and I'll probably stick to that. There might be one more that I get to. Cam Davis, 125-1. I know he disappointed a ton of people last week at the Charles Schwab. He opened at 75-1, and I think he got all the way down to 28-1 before the start of the tournament. Like everyone and their mother was betting on Cameron Davis, then he was bound to go out and miss the cut. I mean, there was so much money on him. But one thing I found interesting, and look, this could not continue this week, but Cam Davis, since he's had that resurgence at the Players' Championship where he finished T6 following that illness that kind of bugged him for some time, he has had some up and downs. In his last 5 starts, he's missed the cut twice and has a T59. But every time after he's had a bad finish, he's found a way to respond pretty well. After missing the cut, was T7 in a designated event at the RBT Heritage. T59 at the Wells Fargo, goes out and comes T4 at the PGA Championship. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Cam Davis this week because how badly he burned them, but this is a guy who gains off the tee every week and has been getting more and more accurate. He's a good ball striker. The putter has been shaky, but I don't know. I just think it's a really good number for a guy who got beat down to 28-1 last week. We're getting 100 more points on him, and I don't think anyone's going to be on him. Would I be surprised if Cam Davis contended again this week? Not whatsoever. He has, like I said, a T6 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, T7 at the RBC Heritage, T4 at the PGA Championship. Those are against fields like this. So I just think it's too big of a number not to bet simply for me. But there are a couple other interesting names. I think Gary Woodland is interesting. Not that I'm ever going to bet on him, but on a place where bad putters get some help. That's really been the only knock on Gary Woodland like all year long. His tee to green has been really good. I've seen some love for Denny this week. I probably won't get there. I feel bad that Harris English shit the bed last Sunday as well. I think he shot 5 over. He was terrible on
Don't
Sunday.
Remind me. Fuck.
Yeah, he was terrible.
He was within range, man. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
I feel you. That one hurts. I think Grillo at 150-1 isn't a terrible number either. Like he has the ball striking.
Back to back though?
Listen, I've seen crazier things happen. Tony Finau did this. Tony Finau went back to back this past summer. I'm not comparing Tony Finau to Emiliano Grillo.
Yeah, I hope not.
Those guys that didn't win very often, and I'm just saying, I think this is a very good number on Grillo. 150.
It is.
You have him as short or bigger odds than Denny McCarthy, who's never won literally anything. Emiliano Grillo won last week and has some good finishes in elevated events. So I don't hate that 150-1 number. The other guy I was looking at, and I don't think he is actually going to win this tournament, but Justin Suh at 250-1 is an absolute big number for a guy who's got all parts of his game rolling right now. And the one thing we saw him make some pop-ups when the PGA Tour was in the Florida swing earlier this season. That's when the putter was really working well for him. It got cold there for a little bit, but he's now gained on the greens in 4 consecutive events. Finished T16 last week at the Charles Schwab, was hanging around at the PGA Championship for a little bit. I don't think he's going to win, but 250-1's an absolute big number. So those are the guys I got interested in. Davis is only in right now. Maybe I got room for one more. Who are these bombers that caught your eye off the rip? I know you're good for 8 of them.
So we're cutting down a little this week, but
how about Shank 300-1?
God, that's a crazy number for a guy that just runner up was. Yeah, I mean,
good number.
Yeah, it's a good number. The back-to-back week thing though, like, and that wasn't to discredit what your thoughts were on Grillo, because I think Grillo should be more of that 100 or 80-1 even range, like coming off a win. So not to discredit that at all, but it's kind of the same type of thought I have with Shank is like, can you really string it together for 2 in a row? Like, I've just seen this story so many times with both of these guys where maybe for Grillo it's different because, Grillo just had just coming off of the win, and maybe that's a little bit of what was holding him back was just not winning for a while too, as he's been golfing so well. So I would probably lean more his direction if I were going to go there. The guy I got to, though, is 150 to 1. This will not shock you at all because I'm on him quite a bit.
No,
Mr. Huh?
I said let her rip.
Let her rip.
Oh, it's Kitty. It's Kitty.
No, it's not.
It's Keith Mitchell then.
It's Mr. Mitchell and Ness, Mr. Keith himself. Known for his distance, but he seems to be getting a little bit more accurate off the tee. Third in total driving this season. Feels kind of like, and that's where I was loving what you were saying about, I think it was Cam Davis, about bouncing back kind of quickly. He hasn't finished better than I think T58 over his last 2 events. And it feels like a kind of random pop-up week to me for Keith Mitchell. So I'm kind of going off that feel of like, downslope here, downslope, all right, bang, downslope, bang. And I can kind of see the reasons to get behind Mitchell this week. So 150 to 1, I like it. I'm going to take a stab there. The other guy, there was only 2 really that I don't know. I don't think I bet him yet, but Akshay Bhatia. I don't even – what's his odds at? I'm not even looking right this second, but
400 to 1. They're massive.
That's insane. But he's 13th on the tour in greens hit, 10th in strokes gain approach, and 30th in proximity. You're telling me with that kind of stat profile, he cannot contend this week? Will he win? Probably freaking not. But I'm really looking at like a top 40, top 20. But, I mean, I'm considering the outright there. So, because, I mean, we've talked about the talent level that this kid has, and we think he's going to be an absolute force on the tour for a while once he figures it out completely. So as far as prop bets go or anything like that, I don't know if you have anything, Jack. I only have one right now. It's Stewie Sink to make the cut. Minus 110 on points bet. 18 events here. And granted, he hasn't been as good here since the renovations, but he's 16 for 18 in cuts made, except last year was the 1 year, was one of the years he didn't make the cut. So minus 110, sure, man. Give me a half a unit on that. Any props you like, Jack?
I love that. My boy, the kitchen sink. It's been a long time since he's done anything. You want to hear how ridiculous I am? I know I bet Stuart Sink at the PGA Championship last year.
Oh my God.
I think he actually finished like T20, believe it or not. I was on Stewie Sink last summer for some godforsaken reason. I
remember.
I love me some Stewie Sink. His son's his caddy. He made a hole-in-one at the Masters last year. I love me some Stewie Sink. I hope he wins for you. He's a good guy.
Yeah, man.
I don't have any props. I've actually been pretty off the props, and maybe this is dumb of me because my props were doing pretty fine. Now, I've just declared myself on a mission to fucking hit a first-round leader in. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I've literally never hit one in my life.
It's hard.
I've only bet it like legitimately probably 5 or 6 times. I don't bet it all that often. But ever since the PGA Championship, I've kind of been on a swing for it. So we're going to go back to the well again this week. I haven't made any of these bets, but I know I'm going to bet at least 2 of them. Hideki, first-round leader, 45 to 1. I mentioned earlier in the show he's done that twice in his career here at Muirfield Village. Adam Scott's as big as 60 to 1 to be a first-round leader. I like that. And I also like way down the board, 90 to 1, Christian Bezuidenhout.
Ooh.
Well, someone who puts the ball really well and kind of sneakily has picked up his ball striking in the last 24 rounds. So those are the 3 guys I'm thinking about going first round leader. I might bet them all. Might only bet 2, but those are the 3 that are in the slot right now. You got anything else?
I like the strategy. No, right now it's just Sink. I might tweet something here in a little while, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not quite sure. The placement bets that we kind of talked about as we were going through the show, whatever I was saying as we were talking, if you missed it, go back and rewatch because I'll probably be betting those, or I already have. and that's probably what I'm going to do. But yeah, I don't know. Matchup wise, I didn't even take a peek at anything like that, so not doing any matchups as of now. We need to get here though, Jack, with the one and done. I'm playing catch up.
You are.
I'm playing catch up. Your pick, as always. Who you got this week?
It is still my pick, but it is getting a little closer than I'd like it to be after what the gap was like 2 months ago. Easy one. I saved him for this event. Patrick Cantlay. Easy one.
Oh God,
I saved him for this or a playoff event, and I'm going to use him here. He's going to be the highest owned one and done guy this week for a good reason. Been really good here. I'm going with Cantlay.
Man, that's a great pick. I actually am not really willing to burn someone major this week. Maybe that's dumb, but I'm going to go with the guy who I think is going to win, Ricky Fowler.
Wow, Ricky,
one and done. I'm playing catch up. So if we're in chase mode, why not go a little bit off the board and just go with somebody who I'm betting on as an outright? So I'm in. Ricky, let's do it. It's your week, baby. Let's get it done.
I like it.
So, yeah, with that said, Jack, any final thoughts here before we go ahead and wrap this puppy up and look forward to tomorrow's tournament, the Memorial Tournament?
Yeah, I'm stoked for it to get underway tomorrow, man. I hope there's carnage right off the get-go. I know there hasn't been a lot of rain in the central Ohio area. As there hasn't been a lot of rain here, I actually just mowed my grass and couldn't believe how little grass was in the bag because there just hasn't been rain here. There hasn't been rain in central Ohio either, and it doesn't look like there's going to be rain at all this weekend. So this course is going to be baked out. The greens are going to be playing firm and fast. And again, if you're playing out of the rough, you're not going to be able to control the spin of your ball, whether it's around the green or from the fairway rough. It's going to be impossible to stop your ball on those greens. So it's all setting up for this to be a major-esque type of tournament like it normally is at Jack's place. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll have the winner shaking hands with Jack off of that 18 green on Sunday and drinking whatever kind of milkshake they want to drink, because that's part of the tradition too.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you about that. What's the deal? So I saw a little bit of rumblings on Twitter about like people not being allowed to actually have the milkshake unless you're a pro or you're somebody like rich or something. Like, what? Why don't they offer that to everybody? Like, why is that? Is that a deal? Like, what's going on with that?
I honestly don't. I haven't heard about that, but one thing I did see this week was a picture of. Let me just look up milkshake machine.
They had Snickers in there, and I was like, "Ooh!"
They had Oreos, they had Twix. It looked like they had prices on them. Was where I was going with this. Like,
okay.
It's going to be open to the public. Maybe you like have to be a member at Muirfield Village in order to get it.
That makes sense, though.
Not really
I guess
sure how that works, or maybe it's just tough shit. You got to win the tournament. That's the only way you could drink a milkshake. Get fucked.
Get a handshake from Jack. Get a milkshake if you win. I mean, that's a pretty good reward, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely, especially if it's going to be in the mid 80s, like I believe it is going to be there this week. That milkshake will hit different following a Sunday victory for sure.
Big purse too. I mean, shit.
If we hit a winner this week, I think we got to go to Dairy Queen and get a milkshake or something.
I'm down, dude. I am so down. Like I will meet you halfway. I mean, whatever the best. If it's not Dairy Queen, if there's like a nice local joint that like, I mean, I'm down to go. I got a few of them over here that I really like too, and I'm just like, I've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to stop because I'm trying to avoid sweets with all these holidays and Memorial Day, and everybody's got like brownies and there's cookies, and I'm like, fuck me, I can't do this right now. So we hit an outright. I'm with you. If Corey Connors, if I wind up betting him and he hits an outright, let's do it.
Looking forward to it.
I'll have two if Ricky wins. But yeah, Jack, with that said, we'll go ahead and hop on out of here. They are at Jack's place for the Memorial Tournament. Hopefully you guys cash all your tickets, win some bets. The first round leader that Jack is desperately chasing. That's he's like,
if Hideki puts some white out on that driver tomorrow and gets the boot from round one and I have money on him, I'll never bet Hideki again. He's into the fire.
Yeah. He's going where we were initially planning on putting Emiliano Grillo after burning us, but we're okay with Emiliano now. So with that said, we'll see you guys next week. We are Golf on Tap. You can find us at On Tap Golf on Twitter. You can find Jack at Jack Bushman 2. You can find me at Joey Knows Nothing. We are part of the On Tap Sports Network at OnTapSportsNet.com and at On Tap Sportsnet on all social media platforms. Go ahead and go check out what's on tap in Chicago sports, and check out Jack's article. He did a course breakdown and talked about the favorites for this tournament. So if you're gearing up, just like we are, go ahead and check that out. With that said, crack them, lock them, cash them, and fuck them. And we're out.